Hey everybody, this is John Assaraf, and welcome to Mastering Your Mindset. Now, I am so excited about this session today, only because there are so many amazing advancements in the field of neuroscience or brain research that are giving us unprecedented access to our own psyche and our own thoughts and our own behaviors. And what I can share with you is that these developments and these new realizations are, for the first time ever, giving you and I a bit of the user's manual for our own brain. Now, I think you'd have to agree with me that, we're exploring the cosmos. We've got the Hubble spacecraft showing us light years into space. You've got submarines going into the depths of the oceans. But the real last frontier for us as a species is going inside our own brain. And it's only been in the last 10, 12, 15 years where we've really been able to look inside the human brain and get a little glimpse of what's going on. And the reason that's so important is because we are living, breathing individuals with feelings and thoughts and emotions and behaviors, some of which are constructive and help us, others are destructive and take us away from really accomplishing the things that we feel we're able to accomplish individually and collectively. Now, I'm going to give you as much information as I can in the next 45 minutes to an hour. And for those of you who want to continue learning more, I'm going to give you an option to join us for a program we've got starting in a few weeks as well. So I'll share that with you later. Now, what do I believe is possible? Well, based on the latest research, I think I understand a little bit more now about why me and you, your friends and your family, why we have goals that we want to achieve, whether it's in our health, wealth, relationship, business, or any other goals that you have, and why we have those goals, and what really stops us from achieving those goals. And what I call that is the gap between where you are and where you want to be. There's a reason for that, and I think with the latest brain research, you could bridge that gap a lot faster and easier than ever before. And so what I believe is that you are capable of exponentially better results no matter where you are right now or what you've currently achieved. I believe that you can stop standing on the edge of your potential and really make that quantum leap to achieving that potential faster and easier than ever before. And I think ultimately the real gift, the real key to all of this is for you to feel like your life has purpose, your life has meaning, and your life is fulfilled because you are expressing yourself as much as possible in the real world. And expressing yourself means that you're doing what you love to the best of your abilities. And so what I'm going to be sharing with you today is really the information on how to repress that button, that reset button, the neurological reset button, so that you can have more confidence, more certainty, and more importantly, get out of the things that aren't working for you today, that are preventing you from achieving your goals, and really understanding from a scientific, evidence-based research how to, once and for all, release the feelings maybe of unworthiness, the feelings of not feeling good enough or smart enough. I wrote down a list that I wanted to ask you. I've got a huge list over here of these things. So I believe that most people are being held back by a lot of these things. Fear of rejection, fear of success, fear of failure, fear of humiliation, fear of losing it all, fear of not doing the right things, fear of getting hurt emotionally, fear of not having enough, fear of your own power, fear of disapproval by others, fear of loss, fear of disappointment. I can go on and on and on. And I'll share with you why this is so important. When we have either known fears or unknown fears, unconscious fears, there are certain things that are happening neurologically that actually prevents us from achieving our best. And I don't know whether you're going to watch the Olympics or not, but if you think about the athletes that have gone to London, that have been preparing for the last, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 years, some of them, they're preparing a couple things. Their physical bodies to be able to produce the results that they want. They are mastering their emotions. And more importantly, every single one of them has got to have the mental fortitude to bust through whatever limitations or fears they have to try and win their gold medal in their respective field. I believe that you also have a gold medal that's waiting for you when you achieve your potential. And I can share with you from my own past experience, when I was in my early 20s, I was working really, really hard to make more money and to try and do something with my life. And for those of you who know my story that I wrote in my Having It All New York Times bestselling book and in my answer, also New York Times bestselling book, I shared some of the trials and tribulations I had that really got me on, I guess, on the path of understanding the mindset and really becoming what I think is pretty well versed in understanding what's going on neurologically that causes us to act or not act every single day to achieve our goals. And this all stemmed from having something known as ulcerative colitis. And ulcerative colitis I got when I was in my early 20s. And that was basically ulcers in my colon that prevented me from having normal bowel movements. As a matter of fact, it was one of the most embarrassing things in my life. And out of that embarrassment of not being able to control when I shit, I was able to understand that there's an absolute correlation between what was going on in here and my physical body. And then when I went to school as a kid, I felt like I wasn't smart enough or I wasn't good enough. And that caused me to do poorly in school. And then my first mentor helped me retrain my own brain, retrain my psyche from not being good enough, not being smart enough, and not feeling worthy to really having the confidence and the certainty that I can achieve my goals and dreams. And those changes that happened by understanding the correlation between this and my results was what really helped me build 5 multi-million-dollar companies, and it helped me achieve some success in the world. And the key to all of this was what was happening inside my own brain. I'm going to be sharing with you the power of not just setting goals, but the power of writing them down in some of the latest research from the Dominican University. And what I also want to share with you is something that has blown, I think, the neuroscience field on its ass, and that is neuroplasticity, your brain's ability. No matter what has happened to you in the past, no matter what you have done right or wrong, what fears you have, what anxiety you have, what insecurities you have, no matter what has happened in the past that is part of your psyche, you can change and you could create a new image for yourself. You can rewrite your entire life story, and you can rewrite the past, you could rewrite the present, but more importantly, by focusing on mastering your mindset, what's going on in here right now, you can predict your future. And that is really the key here. So I'm going to share with you a few different things about your brain and how to condition it better, how to make the neurological changes so you start to master your mindset. Now, what I want to do is I want to start with showing you a little video about neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to create new neural connections. And what these new neural connections represent is a new image of yourself, a new idea for your life, a new belief, a new habit. Every time that you create a neural pathway or a neural circuit in your brain, and through repetition you make it fixed in the implicit or subconscious part of your mind, what happens, believe it or not, is what you see changes, what you feel changes, but more importantly, what you do changes, because all change happens from the inside out. And so watch this video and really understand that every single bit of information that you're gathering, every positive thought you have creates this neural network. Every negative thought you have creates more of a neural network that then creates your reality. So watch this video and you'll see what's happening inside your own brain. Then I'll come back and I'm going to talk to you about the different parts of your brain and how you can maximize the latest brain research to be able to master your mindset so you can achieve whatever goal you want. Watch this video.
From birth, you have been creating
billions of neural networks that have become your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, and your habits. For the first time ever, we can now see these new connections being created deep in your brain, and we now know how to accelerate the right connections so that you start to think, feel, believe, and act in ways that are consistent with achieving your new goals and dreams. These amazing new discoveries will now allow you to limit and release any negative thoughts or sabotaging behaviors that may have been holding you back from achieving the success you truly want and desire. For the first time ever, you now can, on purpose, change your brain and achieve even more than ever before. All right, so I wanted you to see that because your brain is a living, breathing, incredible tool that's creating these new ideas of the world. And those new ideas are based about your past, what you're experiencing right now, the new information that you're gathering, but more importantly, what you're thinking and ruminating about every single day. Now, what I want you to understand is the brain has grown in three chunks, basically. Back in the old days, we had the reptilian brain, or our crocodile brain. And then above that grew the mammalian brain, or the emotional brain, the limbic part of the brain. And then on top of that grew the frontal lobe, the genius part of you, the CEO, the executive director that's able to, in the present moment, when you are using it properly, it's able to help you stay present and focused on what you want to achieve. Now, everyday consciousness really generates endless ideas about the future based on your old memories and habits from your past. What does that mean? Well, basically, it does not help you deal with the present moment where you've got to take the day-to-day steps towards your goals. Now, the frontal lobe, because it's one of the newest developed parts of the brain, is very tiny. However, it blinds you to the deeper wisdom and the intuitive centers in your brain. Specifically, what we call is the anterior cingulate, or the insula. And the negative conscious and unconscious thoughts and feelings that you have, what they do, whether it's the fear of success, fear of failure, feeling of disappointment, fear of not being good enough, what they do is they ignite something called the amygdala in the brain. And the amygdala is inside the brain on both sides of your head. And amygdala in Greek means almond. And basically it makes you go nuts. And there are three things that happen when you are consciously or unconsciously in a negative thought pattern that you're aware of or not. The first thing that happens to most people is they run away. They run away from achieving their goals and doing the right things. So they flee. The second thing that it does is many people just freeze and they don't do anything. And the other thing that people do, instead of just flighting away or running away or freezing, is they fight. They try to battle these thoughts. They try to battle what's going on in their brains. So if you've got feelings that you're not smart enough or good enough, or when things become a little bit too much for you to handle, you're simply scared to make a mistake, what happens in your brain is it stimulates your amygdala, which is the emotional center that is responsible for your fears, making sure that you are safe. And what it does without you even knowing it is it triggers the fight, flight, or freeze response mechanism. And so when you set a goal that's bigger than what you're achieving right now, guess what happens? You end up not achieving that goal, not because you can't achieve that goal, it's because of what's happening neurologically. And I've put this image up on the screen right now to show you that this is a brain scan image, all right, of us being able to look inside your brain under these different conditions, the things that might be holding you back. And if you look at the front part of this image where it's a little bit red, that's part of the prefrontal cortex that is showing some signs of stress. And what we want to do is really create something known as neural coherence in the frontal lobe part of the brain. The frontal lobe part of the brain is the CEO, your executive director, as I mentioned, and that's the part of your brain that allows you to transcend and move forward and take action instead of fighting, freezing, or flight. Now, the unconscious brain, or non-conscious or subconscious, whatever you want to call it, especially the thalamus, which is the relay station for all of your thoughts, responds to all of your positive and negative fantasies, your thoughts, your feelings, and your ideas as if they were real. So if you're thinking about something that is worrisome to you, or that you're angry about, or uncertain about, or lacking confidence, guess what's happening neurologically? What's happening is that the more you focus on it, the more you create a neural pattern of that negative idea, and the more the thalamus sends that relay to the different parts of your brain, which causes you to pay attention to it more, causes you to see things in your physical world to make that real. And more importantly, what it does is it burns those negative thoughts and emotions into memories that produce bad habits. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because when you understand what the brain is supposed to do, the number one thing it's supposed to do, other than keep you alive, is make sure that you're safe. And so if there's something in the real world, in your physical environment, that's potentially harmful to you, your brain not only focuses on that immediately, but it creates a memory of that to protect you. And what we have found is your brain rarely responds to positive thoughts. It mostly responds to anything that's threatful, whether it's real or imagined. And if it's threatful for your survival, that's when all the bells fire off in the brain and causes you to fight, freeze, or flee. So what can you do about it? That's really the key in what you're here for. Barbara Fredrickson really came up with something called the 5-to-1 positivity ratio. 5-to-1 positivity ratio. And the 5-to-1 positivity ratio really suggests that what you have to do is for every negative thought, every negative idea you have to replace it with 5 positive ones to offset the negative thoughts, the negative feelings, and any negative behaviors. 5-to-1 positivity ratio. Dr. Barbara Fredrickson is really the one who did the latest research on that. So if you catch yourself having negative thoughts, negative emotions more frequently than you'd like to, what I can share with you is you are in a self-fulfilling neurological doom loop where you think about and you feel the negative thought or emotion or possible consequence, whether it's real or fantasy, and your brain remembers that, and then all of a sudden you think about what you feel and you feel what you think about. And the more you repeat that, you are now applying neuroplasticity, the neural networks that are being created in your brain in a way that is negative. This is really the key. And so the brain is spending most of its time living in the past or the future, but what you want to do is train yourself to live in the present right now, and you do that with daily exercises. And where we'll realize the more, the most of our potential are really to learn how to stay focused, get that frontal lobe active as often as possible. You're staying focused in the moment, focusing on each step of your goals. And what you want to do is really release yourself from your fantasies of the past or your future ideas that are not real, even though they appear to be. The key is to align your frontal lobe right over here with your goals, your ideas, and create a clear, specific, and precise image so that the visual cortex in the back of your brain and your thalamus, okay, is focused on exactly what it is that you can achieve and what you want to achieve. And what this does is it strengthens, like a muscle, the positive sense of yourself, that you can do it, you can achieve it. And that's part of your parietal lobe. So what you want to do is learn how to stimulate the motivational centers of your brain. And when you motivate your brain and you stimulate the motivational centers of your brain, you create something in the neuroscience field as neural coherence. That's the name of it. Creating a coherence between the amygdala, the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the thalamus, the parts of your brain that are creating your reality. And neural resonance is also a part of that. In the movie The Secret, which many of you may have seen, we talked about the law of attraction. Well, the law of attraction is really the law of coherence, the law of neural resonance, where every part of your brain is in sync with your goals. And this is really the art of mastering your mindset. If you think that I'm talking about, some Greek language right now because I'm using some big words, I'm not trying to confuse you. What I'm trying to do is help you understand that because of the latest research being able to look inside the human brain, we're able to have better answers and better tools to do the exercises to strengthen our core desire, to strengthen our potential, to strengthen our ability to set a goal, know what to do or find out what to do, and then to stay in the present moment every single day to take action towards your goals. When people ask me how I was able to build companies and to stay in shape and do some of the things that I've been able to do, it wasn't because I was smarter than anybody else. It was because 32 years ago, I started to study whatever material was available on the brain. I was able to understand that there were different parts of the brain. Even though we didn't understand a lot of the terms I'm using today, even though we didn't understand, how powerful our brain is and how we can train it to stay focused, to stay on task, to overcome any of the negative thoughts or beliefs that we have about ourselves or what's possible, and more importantly, to be able to change what you do every day. The more you learn how to master your mindset, the easier it will be for you to achieve your health goals, your relationship goals, your career goals, your business goals, your financial goals. Because you have to admit that all of your results right now are because of what you've thought about or haven't thought about and what you do or don't do. So if you are interested in understanding the cause of your results versus the results as effects, you really have to go to the central system that's causing everything to happen. And one of the things you have to learn how to do is you've got to learn how to visualize, to see your expected reward as you suspend, release, let go of your impatient, emotional, infantile brain, which is the limbic system. That's the newest part of your brain. And when you learn how to release all the negative thoughts, the negative emotions, the negative fantasies or ideas that you have, and learn how to focus more on creating that image so that your occipital lobe, or your visual cortex, really gets it, then all of the relay stations in the brain start to work with you. So let me give you some steps of exactly what you can do right now. All right. Number one, write this down. What you want to do is identify any constant negative inner dialogue or speech that you have. And what I want you to do is interrupt it with exercises. Now, that's number one. I'll show you what the exercises are in just a moment, how to hit that reset button. Number two, on a piece of paper, what I want you to do is I want you to write down the word crap, C-R-A-P. Now, it's not crap as you think it was. If you've been through any of our events or any of the other webinars that I've done, the crap stands for, C is for conflicts. Any internal or external conflicts you're having, write it down on a piece of paper. Any resistance you're having with going after your goals, write down what the resistance is. Any anxiety that you're having right now, that's the A, anxiety. What's causing the anxiety? Write it down. Write down how you feel. And the P is for procrastination and other problems that you might be having. So the key is to write them down. And there's a 4-step process to help you eliminate, some of the crap in your life. Number one, which I just had you understand how to do, is you recognize what the crap is. Write it down. Number two, you learn how to look at it and reframe it in a different way so that your brain creates a new pattern and a new belief and a new vantage point on the conflict, the resistance, the anxiety, or the procrastination. Number three, you release it. You release it by A, making a choice and a decision to release it. And then number four is you retrain your brain to have an opposite idea and thought and emotion around the crap. So here's the way it works. You write it all down, and what happens is this is absolutely amazing. When you write things down and you look at it and you observe your crap or your chit, what happens is when you look at it on a piece of paper, you're stimulating some new brain entrainment. And when the brain non-judgmentally, this is key, you don't judge what you're looking at, non-judgmentally observes its own crap, the stuff that's going on in here, it actually optimally reorganizes itself and it stops reacting to the self-created negative ideas or fantasies. This is absolutely amazing. Just by writing all these things down and observing it and looking at it, you're teaching your brain how to optimally reorganize itself. And what happens is it creates a new inner awareness that leads to the aha experiences generated by what? The wisdom and the intuitive centers of your brain called the anterior cingulate and insula. So how do you do this in another way? Number one, in the emails that we sent you, we talked about a reset button. And the reset button is a great tool that's easy. Now, the beautiful thing about mastering your mindset is it doesn't have to be hard, but you have to learn the skills and the tools to help you really acquire a new level of skill. Just like an Olympic athlete may have started, as a young child who liked a sport, and then they learned some new skills and they practiced and they rehearsed it. Whether it's a musician, whether it's learning how to sing, it makes no difference. When you learn some new skills and you reapply them day in and day out, you develop a new awareness and a new ability. So here's how you press the reset button. Number one, when you have any negative thought or feeling, what I want you to do is stop, just pause for 30 seconds and bring yourself into the present moment. The easiest way that I have found for me is just to close my eyes. So you think about something that is negative, you become aware of it, you feel something that you really don't like, and what you do is you just stop, and you can stop your own thoughts, and I want you to start taking some deep breaths in. Breathe deeply in. You can also start to stretch, and believe it or not, some of the latest research suggests that you start to yawn a little bit. So you stop, breathe without any thoughts or judgment about the negative thought or emotion. You do some stretching to interrupt the pattern. You yawn. And what this does, this simple 30-second reset, is it turns down the amygdala, which means that your fear center lowers the volume. Your fear center stops you from fighting, freezing, or running away. And what it actually does, as soon as you start taking those breaths, it turns up your frontal lobe. So as one part of your brain, the amygdala, lowers its effect on you, which is negative, your other part of your brain, called the frontal lobe, in just seconds, allows you to focus on the present moment and on moving forward and focusing on what you want. That 30-second little exercise of resetting that button whenever you're feeling that angst, that alone can transform your life. Another way to do this is think about and write down one of your deepest, most sacred, innermost values for the day, just for today. Forget about for the future, but just for today. Then what I want you to do, as you're focusing on your deepest value, something that you value the most, whether it's God, your health, your children, your freedom, whatever your value is, what I want you to do is focus on a specific goal that you have and write it down 2 or 3 times. Now, why do you want to do this? Well, the research is showing us that as you write down this goal, as you focus on your deepest value for the day, it stimulates the motivational centers of your brain and your concentration centers based on your core purpose in life, also known as the anterior cingulate in the brain. So what this does is when you stop and you focus on something that's of deep value to you, and you take the time to write down your specific goal, just in writing that down, doing those two things, you're stimulating the part of your brain that's going to cause you to take action, the motivational centers and the reward centers of your brain. Third way is what I want you to do is think about something or somebody that you are grateful for. Think about somebody you love. Think about a situation, an event, an experience that brought you immense satisfaction. See, as soon as you think about it, you might think nothing is happening in your brain, but what I can share with you is the reward centers of your brain turns on and it turns down your negative emotions, your limbic emotions. So as you think about something positive, something you're happy about, something you love, something you've experienced, it's amazing, you are now reducing the firing threshold of any of the negative possibilities in your brain. That's number 3. Number 4 for you is this. An exercise that you can do is to write down a negative thought or feeling, any negative thought or feeling, and then write down in a different way, okay, a positive solution to that feeling. So you might write down, I'm afraid of failing. And so you can then write something else down and reframe it. Says, each time I fail, I learn and I grow. So just by writing it down and becoming aware of it, and just by reframing it into a positive, what you're doing is you're changing the neurological implications of what's going on. And by doing some of the things that I just shared, the last 3, you can release it, and then you retrain your brain to focus on a positive thought, a positive feeling that you can create as your new paradigm, your new idea. And you do this by refocusing on your positive goals, your positive desires, your positive dreams, and you focus on who you're becoming along the way. So you focus on the progress. You don't look for the perfection. You become aware. You recognize the negative thoughts, the negative emotions, and you learn how to reframe them and retrain your own brain. See, if you don't know how to do this, that's a great place to start. It's your brain, your thoughts, your feelings, and you can really get to the point where you're aware of your thoughts, you're aware of when you're negative, you're aware of when you're positive. You can switch on a dime and stay focused on your goals. Now, since we're talking about goals, I want to share with you something. Many of you have probably read or heard about a Harvard or Yale study that was apparently done back in the 60s or 70s, where the people who wrote their goals down did significantly better than those who didn't. Now, that is not true, by the way. That study never happened at Yale or at Harvard. However, it did recently happen at Dominican University, and there were some amazing positive effects of those who wrote their goals down on paper and got some support. So those who wrote their goals just from in their minds of what they want to achieve and wrote them on a piece of paper, okay? Those people had more than 50% higher rate of achieving those goals than those who didn't write their goals. So if you're the type of person that hasn't yet written down your goals, this study proves empirically that the effectiveness, okay, of writing goals down is going to help you at least by 50%. Now, there's a couple other pieces that were amazing in this study because they did a variety of different control groups. There was also a piece of it and when you had accountability. There was also a piece of it of writing down your goals with some action steps. And what I'm going to show you is the study that was done again at Dominican University was the group 1 that had unwritten goals, had a certain level of performance, and groups 2 and 5 in this particular study that had written goals achieved a 50% better ratio of getting and hitting their goals just because they wrote them down. All right? So where else is this important? Well, what they also discovered is the group that wrote their goals down and the group that made a commitment to a friend or had a commitment to a friend and created progress reports on a week-by-week basis almost doubled the effectiveness of setting their goals and achieving their goals. So here's my question for you. Is it worth it for you, okay, to double your output, double your goals simply by writing it down? Just the act of writing it down will help you. And when you take some of the other tools that I've just shared with you and you combine those two, then you're going to create a much higher chance of you achieving your goals instead of just setting your goals. So there are 5 things that you must focus on and do daily. 5 things. Okay, and I hope you're happy with the content-rich session we're doing today, and you'll be able to listen to this over again because we'll send it to you. All right, so number 1, if you want to master your mindset for the purpose of being happier, healthier, wealthier, achieving your goals, you've got to become better at managing the thoughts you have every day. Because as I mentioned earlier, the thoughts that you have, all right, your brain doesn't know the difference between real or not, whether it's imagined or something that, you're seeing in the physical world. But the fact that you might be having more negative thoughts than positive thoughts, more uncertainty than confidence and clarity, that's going to trigger certain parts of your brain to relay that information to other parts of your brain, which are going to stop you from taking action, going to stop you from feeling that reward of achievement. So number 1, manage your thoughts. Number 2, you've got to learn to manage your emotions. Now, one of the things that I learned many, many years ago is that there aren't too many circumstances that can cause me to react emotionally without my permission. In most cases, it's not the thing that happens to you that is important. It's how you choose or learn to choose to respond that causes your emotions. And if you are having more negative emotions than positive, or even 50-50, that means that half the time you're being totally unproductive and setting yourself into a negative spiral and allowing either your past or your image or ideas of the future to control your emotions instead of lowering the negative firing threshold and creating a positive emotion that's going to light up your frontal lobe and your motivational centers of your brain. Number 3, and this is something that is so critical, is having laser focus and attention every single day on what it is you want to achieve instead of all the reasons, the stories, the excuses that are happening inside your head on why you can't or you shouldn't or you're afraid. And that happens, again, in that frontal lobe of your brain. And through the simple reset button exercises, through learning some meditation techniques, for example, you could learn how to stop the noise, stop the negativity, and really focus on achieving your goals and staying laser focused more on your goal and less on all of the reasons, stories, people around you that are holding you back. Number 4 is really developing what I call constructive behaviors and daily habits. And here's why this is so important. Every day, you, me, your family, your kids, your friends, we're acting, we're doing things. And most of what we do is based on our habits. Most of what we do is based on what we've done last week and the week before and the week before that. Now, some of your habits during the day, at nighttime, when you wake up, are going to be conducive and help you achieve your goals. Others will not. And the quicker you become aware of which habits you have are moving you towards your goals and which habits you have that are not moving you towards your goals, and you get rid of those, the faster you're going to achieve your goals, because your habits are automatic. You're not thinking about what you do for the most part. You're behaving in a certain way. And if you really want to become a person who is mastering their mindset, you've got to become the person who's mastering their behavior also. And there is the part of each one of us that knows this, but then why do we stay stuck? Well, being stuck is having a habit. Being productive is having a habit. So constructive behaviors are what you really need to focus on. And then every single day, I want you to become aware of your crap. I want you to become aware of what is the conflict going on in your own mind. What is the resistance that you're having of changing, of really releasing your old story, of really taking the time to become a master of your mindset. Here's what I know. The more you master your own mindset and emotions, the better your behavior will be. The better your behavior is, the better results you're going to achieve. And so if you're having resistance right now around this information, ask yourself why. If you're not having resistance around this information, today is a great day for you to start and really master your mindset using evidence-based research, evidence-based methodologies. And if you're having any anxieties or doubts or fears, then it's time today to start recognizing what those are and use the tools that I just gave you to eliminate just one over the next, let's say, 30 or 60 days. Then another one 30 or 60 days later, and another one 30 or 60 days later. What you'll find is every little increment of positive, constructive thoughts, positive, constructive behaviors, and positive mental imaging of where you're heading is going to help you reduce the firing threshold of the amygdala, which is really the anxiety response center, and it's going to help you access the frontal lobe, which is really going to move you forward. And then, if you've got some problems in your life right now, when would now be a good time to come clean with them and identify them, look at them, and start to release them? Because if you don't, what happens is, because most of the problems that we have aren't problems because of something that happened today. They're problems because of something that's happened in the past, or we're imagining and thinking about problems because of what will happen in the future. And so every day focus on the crap and releasing the crap. There's an image I want you to think about right now, and think about whether it's an airplane pilot or a helicopter pilot. When they get into their airplane or their helicopter, every one of them has a checklist of things that they do before they get out on flight. And they do this for safety, and they do this to make sure that the plane gets off the ground properly. And so they check the engine, for optimal performance. They check the fuel. They check that the runway's clear. They check with the tower control to make sure, that they've got clearance and they can go. They make sure the landing gear works. They make sure of probably 100 different things to make sure that everything runs smoothly and they navigate successfully to wherever they're heading. Well, I think that the information I just gave you is like that checklist. It's a way for you to have more control over what you're doing and learn how to release the things that isn't working. And what I can share with you is, to master your mindset, you've got to be able to have your own checklist, and you've got to be able to put your goals, your vision and your ideas of what you want to achieve in writing. And then you've got to make sure that your brain is tuned for optimal performance, your motor cortex, your engine. And what you've got to do is you've got to make sure that you release your doubt and your procrastination so that you are emotionally fueled up for the journey. And at the same time, you do that and you clear out your clogs in your runway, in your brain, your motivational centers. That will give you the clearest mind possible, so that you know that your destination is what I call predictable, that you're going to get there. And when you get this and you master it, that's going to give you the confidence and the certainty that no matter what goal you have physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, or in business, no matter what goal you've got, you're going to make sure that the frontal lobe, your control tower, is awake, ready, and focused with a strategy and a plan that's going to make you predictably achieve your destination. When you master your mindset, that's when you take off and you soar, and you know that nothing's going to stop you from reaching that goal. The people that achieve the most success in the world aren't the people that don't have fears. They're not the people that haven't had things happen to them in their past. They're the people who are able to take all of the past and set it aside and reframe it. They're the people who set clear and specific goals for what they want to achieve. They write them down. They create a plan for achieving them. And they're the people who master the inner game, master their mindset. So they have the skills and the tools that no matter what shows up, they have the tools to deal with it. And what I can share with you is because the brain research is so new, it's changing week by week. There are billions of dollars being invested right now to help us understand the brain more. And a lot of the research happening for Alzheimer's and dementia or any of the neurological diseases that we have is giving us a clearer picture into our own brain, into our own psyche. And with that picture, it's giving you and I more of a blueprint of what we can do with our healthy brains, with our abilities to change and to make the biggest difference in our own lives so that we can live a much more fulfilled, happy, amazing life.